Joining me now is Ben Wikler, Wisconsin Democratic Party chair. Ben, again, this is, I don't care whether Donald Trump and Elon Musk like each other. Like, I just couldn't care less about it. But it is remarkable that Musk has this idea that he thinks this bill, he's worried about the deficit. Not really sure that Elon Musk's worried about the deficit. I think Elon Musk's worried about Elon Musk and Donald Trump's worried about Donald Trump.
That's exactly right. And Elon Musk had this fantasy that he could slash $1 trillion, $2 trillion from the federal government. He came in, he's caused the death of hundreds of thousands of people around the world. He's cursed pretty much every American who could have benefited from cancer research, Alzheimer's research, this research that is now being gutted by the federal government because of his Doge chainsaw. And now he's been pushed out because Donald Trump watched him go up in flames in the Wisconsin Supreme Court election. And now they're battling over just how much they should gut the federal government's protections for regular folks across the country, healthcare that people rely on, earned benefit programs in order to fund a massive tax cut for the ultra wealthy. Their fight is kind of a smokescreen for the real battle that's going on right now, which is Republicans and their mega billionaire far right allies against the people of the United States of America. And that battle will ultimately be decided by how much the public raises its voice in the next few weeks to pressure Republican senators to back off this monstrosity.
And there are some Republican senators who are backing off. Ron Johnson is, but not for the right reasons. Although there is one thing that Ron Johnson points out, and that Mike Johnson and others have said this won't increase the deficit because it'll create such growth that will undo the deficit. Ron Johnson points out there's nothing in the bill that suggests that's actually going to happen. So one thing we can agree with him on, it's not really a growth-oriented bill.
That's exactly right. So that's a broken clock that's right twice a day. Ron Johnson is correct. There's a long history of these promises. Yep. The tax cuts for the ultra wealthy will pay for themselves, and they never do.
Remember we used to think about trickle-down economics? Also still waiting for it to trickle down?
Yeah, they put a tarp under the tax cuts for the rich, and they just trickle onto the tarp, and the folks on top of the tarp roll around in them. For everybody else, this is just a cash grab. It is kicking more than 10 million people off their Medicaid, including people in my state of Wisconsin, Ron Johnson's own constituents. Ron Johnson wants to cut Medicaid even more. It's an even worse idea. But one economic analysis looked at all the cuts to programs that benefit poor and working class people in this country and compared those to the tax cuts for the ultra wealthy, and they almost perfectly even themselves out. You could end all those cuts by simply not cutting taxes for people with a ton of money.
That's the key thing, right? Everybody sits here and is wondering how much you can cut out of Medicaid and SNAP and now Medicare. Or you could just not give almost $5 trillion in tax cuts, largely to the wealthy. I mean, it's a lot easier than finding little things to cut in Medicaid and Medicare.
Yeah, it's very simple. If you want to not do one bad thing, which is to cost tens of thousands of American lives every single year by ripping people off their health insurance, all you have to do is not hand giant piles of money to the wealthiest people in the world. And frankly, the American public doesn't like tax cuts for the ultra wealthy or cuts to health care that people rely on. So this would be much more popular if you did neither of those two things. What this reveals is what the con has been this entire time. Donald Trump did not run a campaign. In fact, he ran a campaign promising not to cut Medicaid. He didn't run a campaign talking about how he would enrich the ultra wealthy. This was a constant game of distraction and attack against, a Democratic campaign that was very clearly on the side of working people. The Trump administration did not want people to understand their goal, but this is their first big bill, their number one legislative priority, just like last time. It is attempts to rip away health care from people that need it in order to enrich people that have everything in the world. That's their one goal. That is what the Elon Musks of the world pour hundreds of millions of dollars into their campaign to get them to do. And only the public at this point stands in their way.
Yeah, it's important to remember a budget is the will, the expression of the will of a particular administration, and that's what the will appears to be. Ben, good to see you as always.